Did you know Obi-Wan Kenobi used to love flying? So, what made him go from this to...
Blast, this is why I hate flying.
Well, in this video, we'll find out. There are numerous moments in the prequels where Obi-Wan refers to hating flying. And it actually became sort of a running joke throughout Attack of the Clones when Anakin constantly teases Obi-Wan about it. Now, Kenobi was an excellent pilot, and during his Padawan years he loved flying and actually wanted to learn all he could about different types of ships and speeders. During the Clone Wars, he also led many missions from the cockpit of his Jedi starfighter, and even escaped legendary bounty hunter Jango Fett. Wow, I love that sound. Obi-Wan's feelings about flying definitely took a hit after a particularly bad experience in a starfighter, as is explained in the canon novel Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray. This story details a mission Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon went on together during a time when they both had their doubts about, well, Qui-Gon being a master and Obi-Wan being an apprentice. There was some friction between them, and, well, you can see in the story how that plays out. Actually, during this story, Obi-Wan eventually ends up on an enormous starship owned by the Czerka Corporation. You might know Czerka from the Knights of the Old Republic games as the corporation behind the creation of the HK series assassin droid, most famously HK-47. The company was thousands of years old at the time of the events of this book, and it was even rumored by some to be older than the Republic itself. Now, Czerka made heavy use of slave labor, so you can imagine what Obi-Wan was doing on this ship. Now, this ship, a Branch-class cruiser fittingly called the Leverage, had enormous hangars and small twisting and turning corridors. Essentially, it was sort of a maze. Obi-Wan snuck onto this ship in another ship, a heavily modified Kazanti-class cruiser, owned by gemstone thief Pax Marifer. While Pax was on the main ship trying to free his partner who was enslaved by Czerka, Obi-Wan studied Pax's ship in case he was going to have to pilot it. Now, this came pretty natural to him since he loved flying. The engines, controls and such were exactly as Obi-Wan suspected it, save for Pax's modifications, of course. The real surprise for Obi-Wan was the way the cargo hold had been fitted as sort of a launching bay for a small but heavily modified starfighter. This intrigued Obi-Wan, which made him get closer to take a better look, when suddenly the alarms inside the Leverage began to go off. Obi-Wan jumped into the starfighter to tap into the intership communication systems and figure out what was going on. He realized Czerka droids were already getting into the bay to lock down all controls, including their only means of escape. He quickly reached for his lightsaber, but realized he was already sitting inside of a weapon. Obi-Wan turned on the engines, dropped out of the cruiser's cargo hold and flew into the Leverage, and absolutely destroyed the first two droids. Now, what happened was actually pretty similar to what happened to Anakin and the droid control ship in episode 1, because the starfighter's console lit up with the words "Auto Pursuit Initiated." This shocked Obi-Wan, and he tried desperately to shut it off, but to no avail. The ship's weapons started targeting droids without him, and even began to move forward. Going faster and faster, Obi-Wan zoomed ahead. He had no control over the ship's acceleration or brakes. All he could do was steer to make sure he didn't launch himself into the wall. His hands clenched the controls as the starfighter flew through the inner doors and went into the labyrinthine tunnels, with no more than a meter of safety on each side, blasting droid after droid. Now, Obi-Wan always wanted a real flying challenge, and well, here it was. But there was no stopping this ship. Meanwhile, Qui-Gon, who was not on this ship but was trying the more diplomatic way to getting the Czerka Corporation to release the slaves, he argued with the captain through a holocall. Well, he struggled to make real progress. That is, until he saw the starfighter crashing onto the bridge, knocking over Czerka employees and landing on the stairs and consoles. His surprise was complete when the starfighter's hatch opened to reveal a pale and dazed Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan stared at the holo for a long moment, and finally spoke the words, "I don't suppose you believe I meant to do that, Master?" Well, Qui-Gon could only say no, but as it turns out, you're right on time. A little while later, Qui-Gon tried to console Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan wouldn't have it. He told Qui-Gon how terrible it was not being able to stay in control of the ship, and how he would never want to fly again. Ever. Qui-Gon told him that even these feelings would pass, but, well, not for Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan now hated flying. Well, there you have it. After this traumatic experience, it's no wonder to me why Obi-Wan would dislike flying ever again.
Flying is for droids.
Do you like these kind of small character details being explained in the novels, or would you rather have Disney leave these things alone? I haven't really made up my mind on this one yet. On one hand, I don't think every single detail or every single quote in the movies needs an explanation in a book. But on the other hand, I love getting to know more about Obi-Wan or other characters. Let me know in the comments what you think about this.